We have that all. And it's like so pandemonium, we've never seen anything like it. God.
Elias Marcos, CJAD 800.
Music of Annakin Slayd and the track Thompson 25, written in the aftermath of 9/11 and the World Trade Center coming down. Annakin Slayd, the Montreal hip-hop artist, was in New York City when the World Trade Center came crashing down, and he joins us on the line now. Annakin, thanks for coming on the show. I know normally when you come on the show it's related to music or to baseball or something else, but it is good to talk to you 20 years after 9/11. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing really well. Thanks, Elias. It's crazy that it's 20 years. It kind of hasn't clicked yet. So.
It is crazy that it's been 20 years, and time does fly. Now, the track we just played, Thompson 25, there's a lot of significance there. Why don't you tell our listeners about the significance of that song?
Yeah, Thompson 25 is a song I wrote actually on the 10th anniversary of everything that happened, and 25 Thompson was the street I lived on in Lower Manhattan when the buildings came down. Basically the song is about, because I had decided when it was all happening, like a not so bright young man that I was, that, let's get closer. Let's see what's happening closer from where I was. So I decided to walk towards basically ground zero. And basically, the song takes me on the journey, mentioning every street that I pass, because it was 12 blocks. And so basically, I kind of go through this sort of, it's a more of a metaphorical song. It's not really a direct, it's kind of abstract. But in the song, I mention all the streets that I walked past to get closer, which of course wasn't the brightest idea. But nobody there thought the buildings were ever going to fall. And nobody even knew at the time that it was a terrorist attack, especially when you were on the ground. You weren't hearing things. So it was a very up and down, crazy experience. And I tried to sort of encapsulate that in the song in an abstract sense.
You had a video camera with you. As you walk closer, you're recording video, right?
Well, that's it. And that, I guess, was kind of the motivation, being an artist and, being an aspiring filmmaker, all these things. I was like, we had this camcorder, my roommate and I, Elan, and we decided, hey, the angle where we had on 25 Thompson, basically the street was directly in line with the buildings themselves. And in fact, my buddy who basically rented out that apartment, he said that the people there, the pitch was to them, you have this wonderful view of the World Trade Center. And so basically when you walked out of the apartment, the first thing you saw to your right were the two buildings just kind of staring at you. And so the angle that we have, which you see in the video, is pretty much directly on. But of course, we're like, we can get some really interesting shots if we got closer, not knowing what was happening, not knowing how many people were dying in front of our very eyes and all that stuff. We were naive artists and, kind of all of that is in the video. So
we're with Annakin Slayd, Montreal hip-hop artist. And Annakin, I get that youthful curiosity, right? So you say, hey, geez, this happened. Let's walk towards the World Trade Center. So where were you when the towers came down?
So the interesting story about that is our whole goal was, let's get an interesting view, because we were actually operating a bit as reporters too, because we didn't see a lot of people with video cameras where we were. So we thought to ourselves, this is history that we're filming. So let's try to get a little closer and see what happens. And as we were probably about 3 blocks out, we tried to get even closer, and a guy, a policeman, an NYPD said, "No, you can't get out of here," and you can't get closer. He's pushing us out. And so we said, "Okay, let's try to find a way around." And as we were getting around, that's when the first building fell. So really, that NYPD officer could have possibly saved me and my roommate's life, because had we gotten any closer, who knows where we would have been when that first tower fell. And when we were on that ground, we didn't even know that it was the tower that had fallen. To us, it just looked like just rubble. So we thought maybe a part of the building fell. Who knows if it was another explosion? We had no idea. So it was, I was pretty close to putting myself in more danger than I could have ever imagined.
Your brother is in our control room right now. Jay Farrar is your brother, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you what's happening with contact with your family at that time. Your family knows you live in New York City, and they're watching TV, seeing this. Was there any moments of panic that in that situation?
Well, actually, I just talked about this with my mother, because my cell phone at that time was cut off, because I wasn't paying it, because I was living as a poor artist in New York. Yeah. So my cell phone was not even working. I don't even remember what kind of cell phone I had. It was probably ancient. But there it was, sitting in my apartment while I was out there, kind of filming this whole thing. And then my mom said that she called and got it hooked back up, paid whatever I owed, and got it hooked up just so that she could call me. And I remember when I got back, I opened up my phone and I saw that I had like 35 messages or something. It was really tough for them. My girlfriend at the time probably left about half of those messages. It's like, and weird, when you're in it, you don't think to yourself, oh, my family must be really worried about me. It's really hard to explain how it was on the ground. You really didn't capture the significance of the moment worldwide. You thought maybe a plane by accident hit there, and this is going to be a 1 or 2 day thing on CNN, and then suddenly the buildings come down and you see the second one is also on fire, and then you're like, okay, this is something bigger than we had initially thought it was. But I just remember getting back to my apartment after all that and being just so exhausted. I was just absolutely drained emotionally, physically, and I probably slept for like 4 hours on 9/11, on the afternoon of 9/11, because I was so exhausted. And I don't even think I realized until years later that there was probably a little bit of, PTSD there, that I probably still hold to this day.
Well, Annakin, just one last quick question there on the subject of PTSD and exhaustion. They say music, art a lot of it is about healing. And would you say that there's a bit of a cathartic thing there when it comes to your writing music in the aftermath of that, even 10 years later, 20 years later?
Absolutely. It's been that way for every single thing that has affected me emotionally. And I even wrote a play about my experience at 9/11. So definitely art has been a big part of me dealing with what I saw and the magnitude of it all, and being able to just look back and say, be happy to be alive, really.
Annakin Slayd, Montreal hip-hop artist. Always welcome on the show. Thanks so much, Annakin.
Thanks, Elias. Anytime.
When we return, going to take a look at what's happening in politics with our political roundup section for the election campaign. Let's get you to news.